most constrain and prevent the organization from meeting its goals. For example, if a factory has limited machine hours, this becomes the limiting factor. It becomes a limiting factor. So also, let me quickly share the link to the WhatsApp platform. Share the link to the WhatsApp. So also, we must solve for contribution. Contribution is a key element when trying to solve questions on limiting factor. We must do what we call contribution analysis. Contribution analysis. So products or activities are analyzed to determine their contribution per unit of the limiting factor. Take note, when solving limiting factor questions, you will determine the contribution per unit. Hence, you move further to determine the contribution per limiting factor. So you always need to identify there is a two-stage contribution process when solving a limiting factor question. Hence, there will be need for you to rank. So to maximize profit or output, resource should be allocated to product or activities that yield the highest contribution per unit of the limiting factor. Take note, per unit of the limiting factor. Hence, once you do this, you make a decision. So if it is an organization, the management will use the analysis to make informed decisions, such as which products to produce, how much to produce, or whether to invest in alleviating the limiting factor. So you must take note of all this when solving limiting factor questions. So I forwarded 2 questions to the platform. One is just to a kind of refresh us on the basic things we need to know about limiting factor. The other question I called deals from an ACCA pack. And if you look at one of the pronouns textbook you use as PM students, you see a similar question in one of our Nigerian books that we carry around to solve PM. But I don't want to mention the name of the textbook. So there's a similar question to that. So why I'm bringing that question, over the past diets, I've been sending that question to the platform. You discover that so many students find it difficult to solve that question. And since we're using the YouTube platform, I decided that let me bring it up, let's solve it here. But if I decide to use the WhatsApp platform, the understanding will not be there as much. That is why most times I don't solve those questions using voice notes and those things on the WhatsApp platform. I won't enjoy it. So since we can all see on YouTube, on Google Meet, that is why I'm bringing it here. So that will solve. By the time you can solve this question by yourself and understand each sentence, I think you'll be very good in dealing with any question on limiting factor. So that is why I'm bringing the question here. So a student sent that question to me about 4 diets ago. So I sat down then and see what is happening with this question. Though it was challenging at first, but I was able to surmount it after I looked at that question very well. So it's a very simple question. That is why I asked us to read before coming here, because I'll be engaging you. I'll be asking quite a number of questions, because once you can understand the English in that question, you overcome the question already. So without much ado, can someone please read this question on the screen?
Sausage makes a two products, the mash and the sauce. Unit variable costs are as follow: mash, sauce, direct material $1 for mash and $3 for sauce. Direct labour $3 per hour, eight $6 for mash, $3 for sauce. Variable overhead $1 for mash, $1 for sauce. Then the total is eight and $7. $8 and $7. The sales price per unit is $14 per match and $11 per choice. During July, the available direct labour is limited to 8,000 hours. 8,000 hours. Sales demand in July is expected to be as follows: March 3,000 units, source 5,000 units. Require: determine the production budget that will maximize profit, assuming that fixed costs per month are $20,000 and that there is no opening inventory of finished goods or work in progress.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, this is a question. This is a very simple one that quite a number of solved, and they've sent their solution to me, and I've reverted back to them. So, so to solve this, if you've studied this question very well, the limiting factor is the direct labor hours, which we are limited to 8,000 hours. Now, that is the limiting factor in this question. Now, to move further, we need to determine our contribution per unit. Our contribution per unit. I'll just be saying it, then I'll show the workings, because I will not want the class to be rowdy. That's why I'm not asking you some questions at this point. When we move to the next question, I'll engage the house. So, to determine the contribution per unit, the sales price in this question for mesh is $14 and for source is $11. Now, the variable costs are what? We have direct materials, direct labor, variable overhead. For mesh, the variable cost in total is $8. For source, in total is $7. Now, to get the contribution per unit, it's selling price minus variable cost. For mesh, it's 14 minus 8. We have what? Unit contribution will be 6. For source, it's 11 minus 7. The unit contribution will be 4. Now, since the limiting factor in this question is direct labor hours, we need to determine the direct labor hours per unit. That is, for us to produce 1 unit, how many hours are we going to use? Now, whenever you're solving PM question and you see anything in bracket, that value in bracket is a pointer that take note of me. This is a red flag that direct labor in bracket $3 per hour, and I'm still having $6 under mash and $3 under sauce. What is the interpretation of this? It means that for me to get the rates per hour, or the number of hours I use to produce 1 unit of mesh, it is 6 divided by $6 divided by $3. It means to produce 1 unit of mesh, I'll use 2 hours. 2 hours. That is the interpretation. I will use 2 hours. Now, to produce 1 unit of source, it is $3 divided by $3. I will use 1 hour to produce 1 unit of source. Let me show the workings now. Let me show the workings. I believe you all have the question. I believe you all have the question.
Yes, sir, we have it.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We have the
Right, so-
question.
All right, thank you. So let's see what we can do. To determine the contribution, we're going to work this way. Okay. We're going to work this way. Let's see. To determine the contribution, we have mesh, we have source. We have source. Now, the sales price is what? The sales price for mesh is what? $14. And for source is 11. Now, the variable cost, you add everything here, you get 8. You add everything here, you get 7. So I won't be splitting it. I will just write variable cost for mesh is what? 8. For source, it's 7. Now, the unit contribution will be what for mesh? Be 6, and for source to be 4. Now, the question is, are we to rank using the unit contribution? Are we to rank using the unit contribution? The answer is no.
No, sir.
Is no. Is no. We are not to rank using this unit contribution. We need to go further to determine the
Contribution per
contribution
limiting
per
factor.
limiting power. Yes, per limiting factor. So how are we going to go about this? We need to determine our labor hours per unit. Labor hours per unit, which I've explained. In some questions, they will give you the labor hours per unit free of charge. But in this case, they are not giving it to you. You need to determine it. How do you determine it? Let me reiterate again. For you to determine it, it means you pay overall, you pay $6 for mesh in terms of direct labor. But there is a value in brackets, $3 per hour. So how many hours do you use to produce mesh? To be 6 divided by 3. For source, to be 3 divided by 3. Let me show it. Here. Workings. I want to avoid too many questions. So I'll be showing some pins. Though some of you might know it. Don't feel that we are moving too slow. It's just to carry everybody along. Let's see. Right labor hour per unit. So for mesh, going to have it as source. So for mesh, it will be 6 divided by 3. We have it as what? 2. For source, to be 3 divided by 3, we have it as 1. So for us to get the contribution per limiting factor, we're going to divide the contribution per unit by this 2 and 1. So to move further, we have it as labor hours per unit. Labor hours per unit. We have it for mesh as 2 hours. For source,
Hello, Sam. Hello. You are not hearing anything again. No?
Please, am I the only one not hearing him?
No, you're
No,
not
you're
the
not
only
the
one.
only one. It's
Okay.
network. I think his network is bad.
Okay. Network.
Yeah.
No audio. Okay, it's like in the network. Hello?
Please off your camera now.
Okay, off that thing. I'm in class. Did you?
Hello, guys. Sorry, please, I want to confirm something. This unit contribution that we got 6 for merge and 4 for source. How did the lecturer solve it? Please, can anyone help me?
Check the question he shared in the WhatsApp group.
40 minus 8. You subtract sales minus variable costs. We give you the contribution, unit contribution.
Oh,
11
okay,
minus 7 gives you 4.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please, I needed that same question too. 7 minus 1, unit contribution. I didn't get what the answer you just gave now, please, sister. That will
14 minus 8 equals to 6.
14
And
minus.
for source,
Okay.
11 minus 7 gives us 4.
Okay, thank you. God bless you.
Amen.
Sorry, which of the questions is it written?
The one is sent on the platform. He sent a question.
You know, he sent two. It was two that I sent. So which of them?
Check the one that has the title sausage. That's the one he's solving.
Okay. Thank you very much.
One by Oma. Let me see.
Some people like show off. I don't know why adults will be behaving like this.
I think something must have happened to his laptop or something. I mean the lecturer, the tutor.
Our tutor is saying somebody.
Sorry, I didn't know I'm online. No, sorry, please.
Hello, can you hear me? He's saying, let's check the WhatsApp group. He's saying somebody should log out so that you can log in.
Sorry, I'm back now. It's my network. I'm so sorry about that. I'm so sorry.
Welcome back, sir.
All right, so sorry that
Welcome.
I'm using a code and it's so sorry that I have to leave. All right, to continue, it's contribution per labor hours is what we're trying to determine now. Contribution per labor hour. Contribution per labor hour. Sorry, just excuse me. I need to call. All right, thank you. All right, I have to plead to some persons to leave the class so I can join. So, contribution per labor hours. So, for mesh, it will be what? It will be $3, and for source, it will be what? $4. 6 divided by 2 and 4 divided by 1. So it's on this basis that you can now do your ranking. On this basis, you can now rank. So which is ranking first now? It's source. Source is ranking first. Which is ranking second? It's mesh. It's ranked second. Now, if we are to produce, we will produce source first. Now, going back to the question, we have the demand for each product, mesh and source. Source, we have demand of what? 5,000 units. For mesh, we have 3,000 units. So to do this, we're going to, let me present another table to see how we can go about this. So let me put it this way, ranking. We have firsts and we have second. The first product is what? It's source. It's source. And the demand is what? It's 5,000.
5,000.
And for this, for mesh, the demand is what? Is 3,000.
3,000 units.
3,000 units. Now we have hours to be allocated. Hours to be allocated. We have it as 8,000 hours. Now, since mesh is ranking first, how many hours do we need? It's hours per unit. Hours per unit. For source is 1 hour. For mesh is 2 hours. It's 1 hour. And for this is 2 hours. So since we are to produce source first, how many hours do we need to produce 5,000 units of source?
5,000 house.
5,000.
5,000.
5,000 hours. Now, we'll be left with what? Let me see. This
3,000.
3,000.
hours.
3,000 house.
3,000 hours. Let me put this as balance. We're left with 3,000 hours. So, for us to produce mesh, we need 2 hours to produce 1 unit. How many hours do we need to produce 3,000 units?
6,000.
6,000.
6,000 hours. Do we have the 6,000 hours based on this balance? We don't have it.
No.
We only have 3,000 left. We have 3,000 left. Now, how many units of mesh can we produce with 3,000 hours?
1,000 hours.
1 hours.
We can produce,
1,500.
yes, we can produce 1,500. How do you do that? The balance,
3,000
Divide
by
by
2.
2.
yes, 3,000 divided by 2. So you can, let me show it. 3,000 divided by 2. $3,000 divided by 2. Okay, let me show something else. Yes. So the unit produced here is still 5,000. That is the optimal product that can be produced. As at this point, it will be 1,500 because we can only produce 1,500 units using 3,000 hours. Using 3,000 hours. So this is based on allocation of 8,000 hours in relation to the product that will give us the highest contribution per labor hours. Now, the question goes further. That's the question.
Determine the production budget.
Yes, that we should determine the production budget that will maximize profits, assuming that the fiscal amounts are $20,000 and that there is no opening inventory of finished goods or work in progress. So to do this, sorry, okay. Yes, to do this, we're going to determine the total contribution in relation to the units we produce. The total contribution in relation to the units produced. Now, to do this, let's say we have products. We have products, we have demand, and also we have contribution per unit. Contribution per unit. Let's say we have total. So for products now, we have source. The demand for source is what? Or the unit. Now let me put demand now. Let's say unit. Unit produced
5,000.
5,000. The contribution per unit, it's 4.
It's 4.
So 4 times 5, 20,000. For mesh, The unit produced is what? 1.5.
1,000.
The contribution is what? 6.
6.
When you multiply this, you have what? 9,000. 9,000. So when you sum these up, you're going to have what? 29,000 as the total contribution. Now, in the first class, even when we're treating cost volume profit analysis, I gave some expressions in relation to contribution that where you are not giving selling price and variable cost, that contribution is fixed costs plus profits. So that is an equation that you must always have at your fingertip, that for you to determine profit, for you to determine your profits, it will now be what? Contribution minus fixed cost.
Minus fixed cost.
If contribution is equal to profit plus fixed cost, you now need to make your profit the subject of the formula to determine what your profit will be. So now we have our total contribution. Let me put it this way. This is total contribution. This 29,000 is total contribution. Total contribution. Now, the fixed cost is given to us in the question.
Yes.
As what?
20,000.
20,000.
Fixed cost is giving us 20,000. The profit will now be what?
9,000.
9,000.
9,000.
Profit is 9,000. So this is what this question wants you to do. I know quite a number of us didn't attempt it. If we should have 7 PM groups, it means on 6 groups, we have close to 1,000 students per group, 1,000 plus. So we have 7 PM groups currently. The 7th one, we only have about, let's say, 200 students. So, and I don't think I've received up to 100 attempts. Yes. So it shows some of us are not actually solving. Yeah. You are not solving. I want to encourage you to always solve questions. When you solve questions, you'll be more exposed and your confidence level will be high. But when you are not solving questions and you're waiting for 2 weeks to the exams to begin to show your skills and dexterity, that will not be that good. So solve questions as we post on the platform. Even when you don't understand, try and solve. And once your tutors are free, they'll always do justice by responding. Yes. So let's quickly move to the next question, which is a very simple one. Likewise, this is very simple, not challenging at all. When people are not used to this platform, even when you don't have questions, you always press the icon. Olamilekun or Olamilokun Ibrahim, do you have questions? Anna Abu, do you have questions? Who else is raising their hands?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Kelani Chinwe. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Please, how do you got the contribution per unit?
Okay. Can somebody please respond to that?
Yes.
Yes, very fast, please. Very fast. Yes, contribution per unit.
You can easily get contribution per unit by
Sorry. No. I mean that of the labor hours per unit. That's what I'm saying, sir.
Yes, so the labor hours per unit, you are going to divide the 6 naira. You know your direct labor is $3 per hour. So you divide the 6 that you have there by 2. That's how you get your 2 hours.
So you use your 2 hours You divide your unit contribution by 2 hours, you get the contribution per labor hours. For mesh, for source, you divide unit contribution of 4 by 1 hour, you get the contribution per labor hour to be $4. I don't know if that is fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'll
Good evening,
just
sir.
take one more question.
Okay,
One
so I
more
want to ask
question.
Good evening, sir.
you, our remaining balance of 3,000 naira after we've subtracted 5,000 naira from the demand of source. That 3,000 naira, owing to the fact that we have to produce mesh, we need 2 hours. Are we not supposed to use 1 hour and maximize the 3,000 production? I don't know, because I don't understand why we need to divide it since we still have 3,000 naira and making us have a remaining of 1,005. I mean, what's the other 1,005 going to be used for?
Okay, there's a missing link somewhere based on what you just put forth. There's a missing link. It shows you missed something. This is it. This is to produce 5,000 units of source. How many hours do you need?
1 hour.
Good. And you have a demand of what? 5,000 units, right?
Yes.
So to produce 5,000 units, how many hours do you need?
1 hour.
So to produce 5,000 units overall, how many hours do you need to produce 5,000 units?
Sorry, is it not 1 hour?
For 1 unit.
Okay, 1 unit. That is, I have to divide it.
No, it will be 1 hour times 5,000 units. You need 5,000 hours to produce 5,000 units of source.
Okay.
So how many hours do you have? You are limited to 8,000 hours. 8,000 minus 5,000 hours. You are left with how many hours?
3,000.
3,000 hours. Take notes. 3,000 hours. So how many hours do you need to produce 1 unit of mesh?
6,000. 3,000. 1 unit. 3,000. Right?
No, ma. You need 2 hours. You need 2 hours to produce 1 unit of mesh. See it. 6 divided by 3. 2.
Yeah, yes, I know, yeah.
So if you want to produce 3,000 units of mesh, it means you need 6,000 hours, which you don't have. You're only left with 3,000 hours. So since you have 3,000 hours, how many units of mesh can you produce using 3,000 hours? If you are to produce 1 unit of mesh using 2 hours, it means you divide 3,000 hours by 2 hours. You can produce 1,500 units of mesh. Are you there?
Guy, I swear I'm not clear. I don't know.
Okay, you need to go over it again or you private chat me. I don't want to waste much time here.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Sir, please, I have a question.
All right. Let me hear.
Please, I would like to know what's the basis of ranking. What basis do we use to rank first and second as source and the mesh?
See, this is the basis. The contribution per labor hour, which is having the highest. Source first, isn't it? Because it's having 4. For mesh is what? It's 3. So it's ranking second. So are we good to go?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So can somebody quickly read the next question? That is where the work is.
Cobrin Engineering Company is experiencing trouble with its suppliers. The firm produces a variety of valves requiring a complex, requiring a complex bought-in component and specially imported high-grade steel. The standard cost charged for the types of valve produced are as follows. Valve type, we have TW, we have VE, we have EC, and we have SE. Still, $200 for TW, VE 500, we have 190, and we have 390. Bought in component, we have 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. Direct labor, we have $60, we have $50, and we have $100. Then variable production cost, we have $40, $50, $40, and $50. Fixed production cost, we have $180, we have $240, we have $150, and we have $270. Selling and administration cost, we have $145, $225, $120, and $215. Profit, we have 35, 55, 30, and 55. Selling price, we have 760, 1,180, 630, and we have 1,130. All the selling and administration costs are fixed, and the same single component is used for each of the 4 products. Direct labor is paid as $4 per standard hour, and each member of the workforce is capable of producing any of the valves. Cobrin's major customer has ordered 30 TW, 30 EC, 20 VE, and 20 SE valves for the coming month. Despite the firm's difficulties, it is felt that these must be supplied to ensure future business. It is thought that this order represents some 10% of total demand for each valve required. Establish the production plan for coverings if in the coming months A, supplies of steel are limited to $250,000. B, only 400 bought-in components are likely to be available. C, labor disputes will restrict productive hours to 4,250. D, all 4 products will be subcontracted at a cost per unit of $475, $705, $380, and $640 for TW, VE, EC, and SE respectively. Labor is still restricted to 4,250 hours, but the major customer insists that the special order is completed by Cobrin and not subcontracted. Note, each of the restrictions on production is to be treated independently.
All right, thank you very much. Now, on the WhatsApp platform, I asked us to write this question down on our notebook, or you print it out. I have a reason for saying that, because the question is pregnant, and I want us to underline some things as we analyze this question. Now, I want to do the analysis. So as I'm doing the analysis, you put down those points so that when I begin to solve, you don't need to be drawing me back. That how do we get this? How do we get that? So listen carefully. Yes, Cobrin Engineering Company is experiencing trouble with its suppliers. The firm produces a variety of valves requiring a couplings, bought-in components, and specially imported high-grade steel. The standard cost card for the types of valves produced are as follows. In this question, You will not see selling price. You will not see variable cost standing on its own. Now, how do we get our contribution? How do we get our contribution? Write it down now. So when I start solving, because I might not have the luxury of time to begin to show workings as much. So take note. In this question, I can see profits. I can see profits. And we said contribution is profit plus fixed cost, isn't it? Now, looking downward, that all the selling and administration costs are fixed. Take note of that, underline that. All the selling and administration costs are fixed. Underline that. What is the meaning of that? It means when you go up, the cost card, the variable production cost is what? For TW is 40. 40. The selling and administration cost is what?
145.
145. Add 40 plus 180 plus 145. You have what?
365.
365.
365.
365.
365.
365. 40 plus 180.
No.
400.
465.
It's 365.
Okay, 365.
Hello, sir. 65
Okay.
plus 360.
Okay, this is it. The variable costs or the fixed cost is fixed production cost and selling and administration cost from the question that all the selling and administration costs are fixed. So fixed production cost is what? 180. Then selling and administration cost is what? 145. So when you add these together, you have what?
325.
So your contribution for TW is 325 plus what? Plus profit, which is 35. Take note. Profit plus fixed cost, TW, 325 plus 35. 360. So for VE, quickly solve, let's see. For VE, we have what?
We have 240.
240 plus 225 plus 55.
Five minutes now. Please,
Oh,
I'm
nice.
lost. Excuse me,
So
sir.
yes.
490.
Please, can you take it again? Please. I'm sorry.
So in this question,
Thank you.
that all the selling and administration costs are fixed. So contribution is fixed cost plus profit. For TW, fixed production cost is what? 180. Selling and administration cost is what? 145. Plus profit of 35, you have 360. So 180 plus 145 plus 35, you have 360. So for VE, it will be what? 240 plus 225 plus 55.
520.
520.
520.
Yeah. I would not like to get the question later. Why are we including selling and administration costs? It is clearly stated in the question. So always allow the question to guide you. All the selling and administration costs are fixed. Because somebody will tell me later, but the formula does not tell us that selling and admin cost is part of the formula for contribution. You follow the question and allow the question to lead you. But most times, as students, we always jump because we think.
Sir, please, sir. In the initial class that you taught us, you said selling price minus variable cost. That's contribution.
Yes, sir.
And inside this question, I can see direct labor, variable production costs, which are supposed to be variable cost. And there is a selling price under, which is 760, like that. My thought was we can from there get our contribution, like 760, then direct labor and production overhead. I don't know. Thank you, sir.
No, we won't be able to get it in that order. We won't be able to get it in that order because we won't be able to get it in that order. But you can try it, though I've not tried it in that order. Let me see.
Sir, we can get it in that order too.
Okay.
Yes,
It's giving us what?
Yes,
We
it's
can't
giving
get
us the same thing.
It's giving us same thing.
Yes.
Okay, good.
like selling price minus variable cost minus direct labor cost, brought in components, and still it gives us the same thing.
Okay, 360, right?
Yes.
All right, so fine.
That's a long process.
Okay, so take note of that. So let's quickly move further again. Now take note of this statement. And the same single component is used for each of the 4 products. And the same single component is used for each of the 4 products. The same single component is used for each of the 4 products. What is this statement referring to? It means that the bought-in component, we are only using one. We are using one to produce each of the products. One bought-in component is used to produce each of the products. So when we get to solve bought-in components, we'll be using one to divide our contribution. We'll be using one to divide our contribution to determine our contribution per key factor, that the same single component is used, single, one. So we'll be using one to divide our contribution to determine our contribution per key factor when we get to that level. So let's move further. That direct labor is paid $4 per standard hour. Direct labor is paid $4 per standard hour. It means that if we want to determine the number of hours used to produce TW, to produce VE, to produce EC, to produce SE, what are we going to do? How much are we paying in terms of direct labor for TW?
60.
So for the number of hours used to produce 1 unit of TW, it will be 60 divided by 4. 60 divided by 4. So for VE, it will be 60 divided by 4 also. For EC, it will be 50 divided by 4. For SE, it will be what? 100 divided by 4. Take note of that. Take note of that. So when I start presenting them, we'll not have to draw ourselves back. So that's $4 per standard hour, and each member of the workforce is capable of producing any of the valves. Okay. Now, Cobrain's major customer has ordered 30 TW, 30 EC, 20 VE, and 20 SE valves for the coming months. Now, whenever you see this in a question, it means this major customer must be given preference. It means irrespective of the demand you have to meet the demand of your major customer first before any other thing. So as we solve, we'll be giving attention to the demand of our special customer. So by the time we want to allocate our limited resources, we must always take cognizance of 30 TW, 30 EC, 20 VE, and 20 SE first before any other thing. Take note of that. Take note of that point. That's okay. Despite the firm's difficulties, it is felt that this must be supplied to ensure future business. Yes. So to maintain relationship with this special customer, we have to supply them for future business. We have to give them preference. So it is thought, take note, underline this point again. It is thought that this order represents some 10% of the total demand for each valve. It is thought that this order represents some 10% of total demand of each valve. Listen carefully. Now, in this question, for you to get the total unit of TW that Combrin Engineering will produce, what are you going to do? For you to get the total number of EC that Combrin will produce, what are you going to do? It means if the special order is 10% of the total of TW, let me show, I have to show you workings here. I have to show you here. If not, I'll get many questions. Let me show something here. Yes, if the special order represents 10% of the total demand, what is that total demand? Let's do simple mathematics. So, for example, TW, let me make use of TW. TW is equal to that 10% of X. X, oh, okay. Let me write it this way. Okay, let me use my 10% of X is equal to 30. So what is this X?
300. The total demand.
It's 30. So 10% of X is what? So 10% of X is 30. What is X? What is X?
300.
X is
30 divided by 10.
Yes.
10%. Yeah.
Yes. So X will be 300. That is 10X is equal to what? 3,000. Divide both sides by 10. X will be what? When you divide both sides, X is equal to 300.
3,000. Yeah.
Take note of this step. Take note of. So this statement, it is further represents 10% of total demand for each verb. It means for VE, if 20% of VE is, if 10% of VE is 10, is 20, what is the 100% of VE? 200. It will be 200. Take note. Now, let me come back to TW. By the time you supply your special customer 30 TW out of 300, how many units are you going to have left?
270.
70. Take note of these figures. When for EC, it means the 100% of EC will be 300 likewise. So 10% of 300 will be 30. So when you supply your special customer 30 units, you'll be left with 270. For VE, the 100% will be 200. When you supply your special customer with 20, you'll be left with 180. For SE, same, you'll be left with 180. See? Okay. So Required, establish the best production plan for cobring if in the coming months, A, supplies of steels are limited to $250,000. Now, the limiting factor here now is what?
The steel.
Yes, we can only get steel for 250,000. For $250,000. Now, in relation to steel now, in relation to steel, our contribution is what? Okay, let me start showing my workings. Let me start showing it to avoid workings. Let me say this is products. Let me start showing my workings. Products, we have CW, we have VE, we have EC, we have SE. Then we've actually determined our contribution, right? Let me still show my contribution.
Yes.
Let me still show it. Profit is 35, and for this, 55. You can solve it the other way too. Test your understanding. I've never thought of that. So fixed costs 325, 465, 270, and we have 85. So the contribution will be what?
360.
360,
520. 300. 540.
540. Good. Now, looking at our steel now, steel in short supply. Let's see. A, steel in short supply. Still in short supply. Now, our contribution. Okay, let me still have it. Products, CW, VE, EC, SE. Contribution for each of these products is what? For TW, 360. For VE is what? 520. For EC
300.
is 300. For SE is what? 40. Now, for us to get the contribution per limiting factor of steel, what are we going to do?
Divide steel. 250
by the
divided
cost
by
of
260.
Okay, good. We divide the contribution by these steel values here: 250, 500, 190, 390. So we have it steel costs for TW to be 250, you divide, and this 500, and this be 190, and this will be what? 390. So the contribution per key factor will now be what?
1.44.
Contribution per key factor. This will be 1.44.
1.04.
Let me put division sign. Let me see. Okay, you should understand that this is what I'm trying to do. So you divide this 1.04, and this should be 1.58, and this should be 1.38. So when you rank now, let's rank.
Sir, we can't see what you're doing, sir.
Rank.
EC first.
EC is ranking first.
Yes.
Then
And the
TW
second
second.
is W.
CW second.
And the third is SE.
The third is XE.
SE. Then the fourth
And the fourth
is
is B.
So on this basis now, we can now apportion 250,000 that is available for us to buy steel.
Sorry, I can't see your slide.
Wow, you can't see my slide?
Yes, sir. Present.
Please,
I can see it from here.
Please log
I
out.
think check your net. I can see it from here. Check your network.
I can see it from here also.
Okay, because if you log out, you might not be able to come in again.
You can also adjust the screen.
So
Okay.
now let's move ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir, I'm with you.
Okay, sir. Please, I'm sorry to take you to drag back, sir. So now, I'm a bit confused because now, I could see that you divided the contribution by the cost. For instance, now for TW, you divided it by 250 to get 1.44. So now that 250, is it quantity or the cost?
Is the cost per unit. Cost per unit. This is it, sir. This is a cost card. This is a cost card. So this steel, how much am I buying one steel? For TW, 250.
250.
For VE, it's 500. For EC, 190. For SE, 390.
Okay, sir. But in the case of labor hours, we didn't use the cost, we used the number of hours. So I was thinking that when it comes to arriving at contribution per limiting factor, that we have to divide our contribution by units, not value, not cost. Well, that's what I was thinking, sir.
Okay, sir. Now, it now depends how the limiting factor issue is coming. If it is coming in units, you now look for the units. We're going to see that in this question. If your limiting factor is given in monetary value, you look for the monetary value in per unit. If it is given in terms of material, you look for the material per kg. If it is given in hours, you look for the hours per unit. You get, sir?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So this question is all encompassing, and you will see that scenario. And if you've listened to the explanation before now, we've already determined our labor hour per unit by saying our labor, direct labor for TW is 60. When you divide by 4, you have what? You have what? 15. It means you are using 15 hours. Do you understand? So when we get there, you get to see more of it. So depending on how the question is being solved, then you walk in that line.
Sorry, sir. Can I ask a question?
Very well, sir.
Thank you. Please, sir, I don't know how you arrive at this contribution. Sorry for drawing you back, sir.
No problem, sir.
Thank you.
So the contribution 1.44, right? 1.44, 1.04. Isn't
the
it?
360, the 361 is not the contribution per key factor.
Okay. See this slide, sir.
Okay. This fees cost, sorry, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it the addition of of the question?
See it, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Fixed cost 180. Then in the question it says selling and administrative costs are fixed costs likewise. So 180 plus 145. For TW, you have 325.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
No problem, sir.
So I have.
Please, sir, give. Okay, sorry. What of this 1.44 contribution factor 250 divided by what?
By 360, sir. 360 divided by 250, sir.
Okay.
Yes, so sorry, others. I know you might be wondering why I'm responding. You know, it's not good you be on this platform that we are moving and you are lost at a point and you cannot catch up. So it's good I just quickly give listening ears to those questions so that their time here will be worthwhile. So let's move on.
Please, I'm confused about something. No?
It's serious. Let me take your question.
Can I continue?
I'll move on. Yeah, let me hear.
In that special demand, 10% of the total demand is 10% times S is equal to 30. So later on, you still say 10% times S is equal to 3,000. So I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
In that aspect.
Right. It's fine. This is it, ma. Listen carefully. That it is thought that this order represents some 10% of total demand for each valve. Now, for TW, if the special order for TW is 30%, and the question is now saying that 10% of this special order represents the total demand. That 10% of this special order is a proportion of the total demand. A proportion of the total demand. So for you to get the total demand, the total demand, if 10% of total demand is 30, what is that total demand? So I now put forth this simple illustration that TW, if 10% of my total demand, which I'm representing as X, is equal to 30, what is this 30? What is this X? So when you simplify this simple equation, you discover that the value of X for TW will be 300, which shows that the total demand for TW is what? 300. So 10% of 300 will give you your special order of 30 TW. When you do same for VE, that VE is special order is 20%. For you to get the overall value of VE, it means 10 all over 100 multiplied by X is equal to 20. When you simplify further, you discover that your total value of VE will be 200. So 10% of 200 will give you 20. So it's a kind of working easily. You work for the known to get the unknown. That is what we've done. So by the time you settle down and look at it very well, you should be fine. Let's fire on. That is why this question, so we'll digest and assimilate before now. So let's quickly move on. Production. SFM will be coming up by 9, and I have to conclude this class. Production in units. Let me move. Steel used. Value of steel used. Let me put it. Value of steel used. We'll always consider.
Hello, sir. Sorry,
Yes?
sir, please.
Okay, I want to ask, how did you get that 3,000?
Which 2,000?
That the 3,000 before the table. When you said 10%, from that 10% discount of 30.
It's 200, not
And
2,000.
yeah,
It's
this
200.
3,000.
In your book, write 10 all over 100 multiplied by x equal to 30. Then you cross multiply. You get, when you say 100 times 30 is 3,000, divide both sides by 10 to get the value of x. You have 300. You know, I'm not a mathematics teacher. So,
Okay.
I believe, so let's quickly move on, please. Let's move on. If you have any issue, just relate with me so that I won't be taking other people backward. So special order. Special order won't follow the ranking because you have to produce them. For W, the special order is what? 30.
30.
For VE is what? 20.
90.
And for EC is 30. And for SE is what? 20. Yes. For SE is 20. So how much are we going to pay to get 30 TW? How much? How much does a steel cost for TW?
250.
250 multiplied by 30.
7,500.
The value is what?
7,500.
7,500. I want to show the workings. Now, for VE, 20 multiplied by 500. We have what?
1,000. 10,000, sorry.
Now, for EC, it will be what? 190, right? Multiplied by 30.
5,700.
5,700. For SE, it will be what?
Times 390.
Times 390.
7,800.
It will be what?
7,800.
7,800. So kindly add this whole value: 75 plus 10,000 plus 57 plus 78. How much are we spending overall for the special order?
81,000.
81,000. Take note. How much do we have? We have 250,000, right?
Yes.
So it means the money we have has reduced. Now, which is ranking first among these products?
EC.
EC. So let's look for EC. How much are we going to spend on EC? EC, we have 300 overall. We've allocated 30 to the special order. What are we having left?
270.
270 multiplied by 190.
51,300.
Equal to 51,300. Take notes. Let me bring it here. 51,300. Which is ranking next?
TW.
TW. Okay, yes. For TW, the overall is 300. We've allocated 30 to special order. We are left with 270. 270 multiplied by 250. We have what?
67,500.
67,500. Let's bring it here. 67,500. The next ranking product is what?
SE.
SE.
Who is making noise? Trying to. All right. SE. SE, yes. SE, we have overall 200. Giving 20 to the special customer, we are left with what? 180. Multiplied by what? 3. We have it as what?
70,200.
70,200. Let's bring it here. 70,200. What is our balance now?
30,000.
Our balance 250,000 minus this. What do we have left?
30,000.
We have a balance of 30,000. Let me put it here. Balance. So which is ranking next? Which is ranking? VE.
VE.
VE is ranking next. And for VE, we have 200. We've allocated 20. 180. Isn't it? We are left with 180. So, do we have sufficient money to buy the steel?
No.
We don't have. So, what are we going to do now?
Divide.
So, how many steel can we produce with 30?
57.
60.
How? How is it 60?
We have 30. We have 30 left. 30,000 left. Then divided by
500.
500.
Okay, good. Good. 30,000 divided by 500. Let me put it here. We can produce 60 steel. So when you add all this, you have a total of what? Total. We have 203,000. So for CW, how many steel can you produce? 300 steel in total. For this, we can produce how many steel? We can produce 60.
80 steel. 80.
Good. Plus the special order. And for this, we can produce how many steel?
300.
And for this, we can produce 200.
200.
So, I believe this should be clear. If it is not clear, you can watch this on YouTube again, and you will find it interesting. Let's move on to the next question.
Before you move on,
Yes, I'm with you.
you get that total for TW, the 300.
For TW,
Yes, the
special
300.
order 30. Special order 30 plus 270.
270. All right. Thank you.
So,
Sorry,
the
sir,
question.
please. Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, sir. Please, I just want to make a verification. I know we are given special order in that question. So my question is it under must I did my special order differently? Or it's something I can do when I'm ranking? When I'm allocating, I ought to allocate the remaining resources. But assuming I want to do it together and taking into consideration of the special order also.
The special order, irrespective of your ranking, irrespective of your limited resources, you
Yes.
must produce that.
Yes, I know we must produce it. But what I'm
Yes.
just saying is, for instance, when I know for EC, we can accommodate all the 300.
Yes.
So instead of doing 30 to 70, can I just do it once, 300?
Yes, you can do it.
In as
You
much
can
I'm
do it.
sure it will accommodate it.
Yes, yes, you can.
All right, sir. So that's my question. Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. All right, let's go back to the question. Let's see what the question is saying again. B, only 4,000 bought-in components are likely to be what? Available. This is another case of limited resources. Only 4,000 bought-in components are likely to be available. Take note, we've made a clear explanation. Only 400, yes. Now, this 400 is not in value, right? It's not in monetary terms, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, sir. So we will not need to do those divisions.
Yes.
Take note, this statement, the same single component is used for each of the 4 products. The same single. Single means what?
One.
That's one.
One. Note, it's 1. Let's quickly solve. Don't have time. Components in short supply. Components in short supply. The contribution per unit, we still make use of it. Okay, let me make these products to avoid confusion. Products W, VE, EC, SE. Now the contribution per unit based on our first working for TW is what?
360.
For VE
520.
and for this 300.
300.
540. So the components now, to get the contribution per key factor, the components will be what? For TW will be what?
50.
The component is not 50.
One.
It's not 50. You know, you cannot divide, for you to get contribution per limiting factor, you cannot divide naira by naira. It's the units now you will divide by the contribution, which is 1. That is why I was emphasizing that statement all through the beginning of this class. That single. You understand? See it here.
Okay.
I was emphasizing this, that the same single component. So you have to follow the question meticulously. So now the contribution per key factor will be what?
360. 520.
Is a constant value. So this will be 360, this will be 520, this will be 300, this will be 540. So based on ranking, which is ranking first?
SE.
540.
Then this is ranking second. And this is ranking what? Third. And this is ranking fourth. So for us to produce now, I have a column here. So that's column. Right here. So now, for us to produce We'll consider our special order first. Likewise, we have 400 components. Take note. If you are not talking, you can mute yourself to avoid this noise. So production in units. Special order is constant. 30, 20.
I not see your screen.
20.
Hello, sir.
I'm with you.
Hello, sir.
So you can't see my
I
screen.
cannot see your screen. Yes, sir.
Everybody?
Maybe you should refresh. I can see your screen.
Network. I can see your screen.
I can see your screen, sir.
All right, thank you.
Sir, your screen is off. It is off
I
again.
can't see anything. I can't see anything.
You guys should refresh.
It's back now.
You can see it here.
I can see it here.
Once your screen is
Check
up,
your network.
just
Maybe
check
it's
your
your network.
network.
Just check your
You know,
network.
this I cannot see your screen. It's also causing delay.
Check.
So production in units, special order. The question is, in relation to the components, how many units of these components do we need to produce 30 units of TW?
30.
30, very good. Because the contribution, the component is 1 to produce each of the products. So it means we need 30 to produce TW, we need 20 to produce VE, we need 30 to produce EC, we need SE, 20 to produce SE. Please, if you are not responding to the class, can you mute yourself? So the total components we need to produce the special order is what? Is 100.
100.
Is 100. So we have a balance of what?
300.
300. So which is ranking first now?
SE.
SE. So how many units do we have to produce for SE?
180.
180, because we've used 20 for special order. We are left with 180. So
Yes.
in relation to the special order, how many units of the components do we need?
180.
Okay, good.
Please,
180. You said?
Where did you get 100? I'm lost from this production.
Addition of those production itself.
See, addition of all this. 30 plus 20 plus 30 plus 20. Now, the question you should ask, how did we get 30? I want to know if you...
30 is from the... what is it called? The total unit, I guess.
It's from the question. Now,
we need 30 components to produce 30 units. Do you
Am
understand?
I the only one not seeing the screen, or is it my network?
Yes, I can't see your screen.
Sharing.
Oh, I can't see your screen. Oh. Your screen is off, sir.
The screen is off. Oh.
I can see your screen.
Yes, it's coming now.
Okay, it's back now.
Okay. Special order. Put it that way. Now, the next ranking product is what? SE. So how many units do we need to produce SE? Of 180. It's still 180, because for you to produce 1 unit, you need 1 component. So 1 component times 180 is 180. Take notes.
So how do we get that
You
180,
get
sir? Sorry, sir.
180.
How did you get 180, sir?
Now, for SE, the total units you need to produce for SE is what? 200 units. If you allocate 20 to the special customer, 200 minus 20, what is left?
180.
One. Now, how many components do you need to produce 180 units of X? If you are using 1 unit, 1 component to produce 1 unit, it is 1 times 180.
180. Yes.
180. So, do we have a balance? Out of 400, we've used what?
We've used
280.
280. So, which is ranking next now?
VE.
VE. What is the balance we have?
120.
So for VE, the total units we ought to produce is 200.
Okay,
But
we
we've
have 180.
allocated 20 to the special order. We have how many left? 180.
180.
But based on our resource, we only have 120.
Yes.
Yes.
How many units of VE can we produce with 120 components?
120.
Still 120.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So that is how it works. So in case you are lost, please do well to watch this.
Please, I don't understand how you get this 120.
I didn't understand.
Exactly.
I don't even know where you get that first 200 from that SE.
You see, I know this question is
Can watch.
a kind of
Sorry, how did you get the 120? I thought we
Exactly. 400
VE's own is
components.
remaining VE's own is 200 and we gave 20 to for special order, which is remaining 180. So why did
180. 400 minus
like that?
180.
Our
Let's
balance
put
is
20.
remaining 120.
How come we are using 200? Oh, 400.
this is interesting. You see, all your questions are interesting.
Very interesting.
My
So are
own
we?
is very interesting. Oh, please look at my own. Because it's remaining 180 for VE now.
Okay.
Why we need 120?
Special order. 180 plus 100 is giving us 280 minus 400 will give us 120. Thank you.
You see, all these questions are interesting. You see, that is why in teaching, you have to start from the simple to the complex, which I've done. But I discover most of us, we don't used to practice. You practice. You solve questions. You can solve one question 4 times to get understanding. Yes. So you watch this video again. You watch it. I don't have time. I have how many minutes tonight? So
Sir, please just help me answer this question, please. It's just simple because I maybe I just
simple and you cannot do it. Go and watch it now.
Oga, calm down now. Are you the teacher? Calm down.
Okay,
The
let me hear your
120
question.
on, we have balance of 120. That's why we
Now, everybody just rushing once. Allow him to answer the question, please.
I don't
Take
know.
the
Calm
question.
down.
They
You
say they
understand
bought
it. I don't
400
understand it.
components.
Calm down. Ah.
It's okay. It's okay. Can you go on with your question? Can you go on with your question? Can you go on with your question?
The total is 400, sir. And we gave 100 for special orders, remaining 300. We
Very
gave
well.
180 for SE, remaining 180 for SE, remaining 120. Now, when we are, why did we allocate 120 for VE? Because total order for VE is 200. Then the 200 minus the special order of 20 is 180. But we are putting 120. I just want to understand. That's all.
Okay, ma. Thank you very much. Now,
Thank you, sir.
can you give what you don't have? No.
Yeah, no.
We have a demand of 180, right? Left for VE, isn't it?
Yes.
But we have components. We are restricted to 400 components.
Yes.
In these 400 components, 100 have been allocated to special order,
Yes.
180 have been allocated to SE because it is ranking first, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, 400 minus 100 minus 180, you are left with what?
120.
So, this 120 is what you can use to produce VE, even though you have more demand above 120. You can only allocate 120 to see how many units of VE you can produce. So how many units of VE can you produce?
120. Yes.
We have 120.
Okay, sir. No, the reason why I asked this question is because in our former the question we solved before this one, we had to divide the remaining by 2 to get that 1,005. So I thought
It's
this one
same
again
thing.
we divide it again.
It's same thing. We divided 120 by 1.
1.
It's giving us 120.
Yes. The other one was 2. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So when we continue like this, I will not be bringing complex questions to the class so that I will not be getting. I will just send the complex question to you as assignment. If you attempt,
Sir,
fine. If you don't
please,
attempt,
sir,
That everybody's
please
brain
be
is not
bringing the
the
complex question because
Sir,
it will really help
the
us to
complex
know
question.
the capacity.
It's the complex question that is better to be solved in class.
Yes, after we solve
the
it,
complex one.
the class, the complex
Be
question,
better.
then the simplest one for the assignment.
okay. The next thing is
We'll make
this. See, labor dispute will restrict productive hours to 4,250. It means we have a labor restricted to 4,250. So to quickly do this now, our contribution again. Let's see. Our contribution, let me say labor in short supply. Labor in short supply. So the contribution is what? Let me make this products. We have CW, we have VE, we have EC, and we have what? SE. So the contribution. When I solve this, I'll leave you to go and solve the last one. Let me see. Contribution 360, 520, 300, and this should be 540. So now the labor hours per unit is what?
Fifteen.
60 divided by 4.
That's 15.
Labor hours per unit. All right, let me just quickly go back to the question to explain to others.
15
So,
for TW.
for TW, direct labor is what? 16 naira. How much are you spending in 1 hour? It's $4.
4 naira.
50 divided by 4. For VE, 60 divided by 4. For EC, 50 divided by 4. For SE, 50 divided by 4. Take note. Labor hour per unit. So we have 15. We have 15. 12.5. We have what?
15, 12.5, and 25.
So the contribution per key factor is what?
12.5 and 25.
24.
Contribution per key factor.
24.
We have 24.
This will be 24.67. And this will be
34.6.
Yes.
24.
Oh, I can't see the screen.
21.6. Yeah.
So, you can't see the screen. Check your network, please. Ranking. Which is ranking first?
VE.
Half around.
VE.
GE,
Half around.
EC, and CW. Like CW and same thing.
Then SE.
No, no, go.
So now, please, if you are not talking, can you mute yourself? And if,
How many people are talking?
One.
if your background is noisy, just don't talk so that it won't disturb us. If your background is noisy, just... So the next thing is this. We have a total of 4,250 hours. We'll still consider our special order. Our special order. So we just say special order.
Hello, sir. Sorry to draw you back, sir.
I'm with you.
The ranking there, we have second, first, second, and fourth. Is it not supposed to be second, first, second, and third?
Okay. Since we have 2 seconds,
yes, sir.
We won't have third.
Okay.
But even though you still put it as third, no issue. You still get, you must treat the second first before you move to the third one. But let's just see how it goes.
It's not a sir.
So special order. We must produce 30 here. It's constant. We must produce 20 here. We must produce, if you've been solving past questions, after this class, try and solve the whole limiting factor questions in the ICANN Pathfinder. You see a question similar to this. You see a question similar to this. But with a different touch anyway, but requires this understanding. So please try and do that. And this is 20. So how many hours are we going to use overall to produce special order? Let me start. For TW, if we will need 15 hours, how many hours are we going to need to use to produce 30 units? This will give us what? Let me just show you.
450.
450.
450. 450.
450.
And this will give us
300.
300.
And this will give us what?
375. Then
375.
And this will give us what?
500.
So let's add 450 plus 300.
1,625.
So the total hours we use for the special order, 1625. So which is ranking first now?
VE.
VE. Now, having produced 20, we are left with what? 180, right?
Yes.
So for us to produce 180, yes, how many hours do we need? For us to produce 180, how many hours do we need?
180 times 50, 180 times 50. 150. No. So,
what? For us to produce 180.
200.
We need how many hours?
2,700.
2,700, right?
Yes.
2,700, right?
2,007, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
but we don't have 27.
We have, yes, we don't have 27. Take notes. We have total hours 4,250. Out of these, we've used 1,625. How many hours are we having left?
2,625.
2,625.
Thank you, thank you. So remaining hours. Remaining hours We use that for.
So it remains 175 units.
We use that to produce VE.
Please, sir, how do we get 2,700?
Use your calculator.
So allow the lecturer to answer. If you know it does not mean everybody knows it.
Sorry, can I get your question again?
How do we get 2,700? I don't understand how the 2,700 came about.
This is it.
You said 2,700.
This is it. For VE, how many hours do you need to produce 1 unit? You need 15 hours, right? To produce 20 units, you need 300 hours. Now, since you have a need to produce 200 units of VE and you've produced 20 units, you are left with 180, right? How many hours do you need to produce 180 of VE? 15 multiplied by 180. You understand? You should get 27. Now, we don't have that 27 since we only have 2,625. Now, for us to produce VE, how many units of VE can we produce using 2,625?
100 and
How many units?
175.
175.
175.
How do you get 175? 2,625
Divide by
15.
Let me write it here.
65 divided by 15.
2,625 divided by 15 is equal to 175. So, total, please, if you are not talking, kindly mute yourself. Total, we have 4,250. Here we can produce how many? Only 30. Here we can produce 195. And here we can produce 30. Here we can produce 20. So this is what they want us to do regarding the C, labor dispute to restrict productive hours to 425. You can see the question is very simple and very big. Now, the D part, I will not solve this. You go and solve. I'll just give you explanation. All 4 products could be subcontracted at a cost a unit of 475, 705, 380, and 640 for TW, for VE, for EC, and for S respectively. Labor is still restricted to 4,250 hours, but the major customer insists that the special order is completed by cobring and not subcontracted. Now, this is a case of make or buy decision. So if I'm to make the product, what contribution will I get? If I'm to subcontract, if I'm to contract the product, what will be the contribution? What will be the contribution? Let me just show you little workings while I leave you with the rest. So make or buy. Make or buy. So TW, VE, EC, SE. So the contribution now, if we are producing, the contribution is what per unit? Contribution for TW is what?
360.
For VE is 520. For EC is 300. For S
540.
540.
Now, if we are to buy, let me say contribution in brackets make contribution contribution by. Now, from the question, how do we get the time? Please, talking. Adeniji. From the question, let's see. From the question that all 4 products could be subcontracted. This subcontracted, it means you want to buy at a cost per unit. The cost is this. So how do we get the contribution in this case? It will be the selling price, 760 minus 475 for TW, 1,180 minus 705 for VE, for EC, 620 minus 380 for SE, 1,130 minus 640. So let's quickly show that. So for TW,
Please, Mr. Enoch.
285. 285.
285. For VE
475.
and for EC and for SE
250.
for SE we have 490. So what is the difference? The difference between the two now. If we are to make or buy, do we have extra contribution? Let's see.
Yeah, 95.
Extra contribution. 360 minus 285.
95.
75.
75, sorry. 45. 50.
So if we are to make, it means we'll make more profit. We have extra contribution rather than buying. So now that labor hours is still same. Take note that labor is still restricted to 4,250 hours, but the major customer insists that special order is completed by covering. So if the labor hour is still restricted, what are we going to do? To get the extra contribution per labor hours, what are we going to do?
Per labor hour.
You said?
We divide by the labor hour, which is 75.
Yes, we divide this extra contribution by labor hours. Labor hours. And for TW is what? 15. For VE is what? 15. For
12.5.
EC, 12.5.
12.5.
And for SE is what? 25. So the extra contribution per labor hours will be what?
5, 3, 4, 2.
Extra contribution per labor hours, this will be 5.
5,
3,
4.
2. So which is ranking first? Rank.
TW.
First. This is what? Second.
Second. VE is third.
This is third. And this is what? Fourth. So what next now? We have to produce.
Allocate.
We have to produce still using the same approach here. We'll consider the special
order.
The special input first. We'll consider the special order first. So when you consider the special order, let me just show it. So my time is up. My time is up. So kindly complete these aspects, the D parts, complete and send, and I will send this correction to you. Maybe I might have another class this week. we talked about linear programming. So let's call it a day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
God
very
bless
much, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Love you.
For your
Thank
patience.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'll send this slide to
Thank
the
you,
platform
sir.
now
God bless you.
so that we can.
All right, thank you, sir.
Please, can we
Thank
get
you, sir.
the platform, sir? Please, sir.
Thank you, sir. You've done well. We are grateful.